Let's make some clay magnets. This is one that I've been wanting to do for a while now. I've seen everybody make the most adorable magnets for their fridge, and I thought this would be such a fun project to do with you guys and to potentially teach you how to do if you want to do it too. I think it was so much fun and it made really cute magnets, so let's get into creating. For this project, I am using Crayola air dry clay. I will have all of the items that you need for this video linked below in the description, so if you want to do this project, you easily can. But the first thing I'm doing is grabbing a big clump of clay. I tried to flatten it out with my hands, but you definitely need a rolling pin. I have definitely used this rolling pin more for clay than I have for baking, which is kind of funny, but you know, it's just how it is. And then it was time to cut out my magnets. For this it was super easy because I just had to roll a slab of clay down to size. It was about this thick, just to give you an idea, and then I have the magnets to the side to make sure that I'm making the clay big enough for the magnets to actually glue to, because otherwise the magnet would stick on the outsides and I think that would be ugly. So I decided to make sure they would fit on the back, and then I just started cutting out any shape that I wanted to make into a magnet. I did a strawberry, a heart. I did this weird circle shape that I kept forgetting what it was supposed to be, but it was to make an egg, just because I think the food magnets are really cute. I also did a bow, a stamp, a flower. You can get really creative with these and make anything that you want to. I also just did a couple of circles to have something simple to work with, and I also did a little rectangle, that way I could put whatever I wanted on that one too. But I basically just cut out so many shapes, really not thinking that this would mean I would be painting for 3 hours later. So keep that in mind if you get carried away like me. Just make sure you don't do too many that you can't finish. And then it was time to kind of carve in some designs and smooth out the clay. I just used a wet sponge to go ahead and smooth out the sides, and then I used a little tool to carve into them and give them some dimension. For the most part, I just stuck with flat designs. I did try to use the slip and score method here, which basically means you make little lines in the clay, and then the slip is basically a little bit of clay but really watered down to make kind of a paste, and then you stick things together, and then I flattened out the edges. But I'm not a clay expert, so I did that as minimally as possible. But now it's time to let these dry for 2 days. So after 2 days they will brighten up and they look like this, and they're ready to paint. I think they're looking so good already, but the paint is what really transforms these into something beautiful you want to display on your fridge. Even though I made 17 magnets to paint, I really locked in here and had so much fun. I was painting for hours trying to get these just how I wanted them to look, and they turned out so cute and they were so much fun to do. I think this would make such a fun craft night for like friends and family. It was so much fun to create them, and it was super simple, and it just, yeah, I don't know, it was a lot of fun. It was very therapeutic to get to paint all of them. Here's how the first one turned out. I did a little apple to start, kind of getting familiar with how I wanted to paint them, and then it was time to do the egg, which, spoiler alert, turned out to be one of my favorites. It's just so random. Like, I love egg art. I know that's a weird thing to say, but maybe you get it. Maybe you get what I'm saying. And then I just decided to paint some juicy highlights on it, and I think it turned out so cute. Every time I painted one, I was just excited to paint the next one. It was so much fun to do. Making your own clay magnets has been trendy for a while now, and I definitely see why. It was just so much fun, and there's so many more that I kind of wish I'd created. I could have seen myself doing a little croissant, a little baguette moment, more food for sure. I think food magnets are so cute. I also did some beachy ones. I did a seashell and a star, and then I had to throw in a couple there for my husband. I'd kind of say he's a bit of a geek, and so I had to do a little bit of Pokemon in there. I did a little Pokeball for him, and I also did a Jigglypuff too because I think she's cute. So I went ahead and added in tiny details for this one. This got the smallest details with that little circle in the middle, but it turned out so cute, so it was worth it. And then I just kept on going and just adding in a whole bunch of colors. I tried to stick to a similar color palette, that way on the fridge they wouldn't look just like too random, but they definitely still are random, but that's kind of fun too for them to look a little bit chaotic. This one maybe turned out to be my least favorite. I think it's just because my handwriting is in there, and you probably relate to this, but like I don't know, I just didn't want to see my handwriting on it. I thought about redoing it, but I do think there is some cuteness to it and it looks handcrafted, so I decided to leave it. This one's kind of random. It's just a little 8-ball who doesn't love a game of pool. And then this one is another one of my favorites. I decided for this rectangle, since I could put anything I wanted on it, to do a little cup of matcha. Matcha's been my favorite drink, and apparently, you know, everyone else is on the planet right now, but I think it's so aesthetic and so cute, so I decided to add a little cup of matcha in a pink mug and did a blue background, added in some little scalloped edges, and it turned out to be so cute. One of my favorites for sure. I just think it speaks to my personality a lot. I just realized how many times I'm going to say cute in this video. That's just like how I describe the things that I think are aesthetically pretty. So I'm just like, oh, that's cute, that's cute, that's cute, but like this is cute, you know what I mean? Like all of them are genuinely cute, so I don't know how else to describe them other than stunning. But I was having so much fun painting all of these, and every single time I would do a new one, I was like, ooh, this is my new favorite, this one turned out cute. And I just kept kind of doing different styles for all of them. I kind of feel like that works really well for this, is that you're doing a whole bunch of individual projects at a time that kind of all go together. So I did a cute little bow. I decided why not make a cowboy boot, that would be kind of cute. I decided to make it pink though, to stick on brand with the colors that I love the best. That's part of why I think it would make such a great craft night, is that it's very fit to everyone's personality individually. Like even this cowboy boot could have been painted a million different colors and would have turned out different. Doing this project reminded me how much I actually love to work with clay. It's kind of messy and it's kind of a lot of work, and I don't have patience and you have to wait for it to dry, but I do really like working with it. There's something also about a practical craft that I love. Like I love that these are going to be magnets on my fridge that I made. I just think it's so cool when your art kind of breaches that space from like paper to reality. I don't even know if that makes sense, but like I especially love art that actually has a function in life. So I think that this being on the fridge is going to be so cool. A lot of the magnets got different levels of detail. Some of them were very detailed, very well done, put a lot of time into them, and then other ones like the 8-ball, it's literally just one color on it. So I really mixed it up just to show you guys that you can be as talented or untalented, or keep it simple or keep it complex, and these can still turn out to be really cute crafts. So I got carried away on this one. I decided to make a little gingham checkered background and then add in some bright red cherries on the front. I just felt like that would be cutesy, and this one is another one of the ones that turned out to be my favorite. I just think it looks so girly and cutesy. And then it was time to move on to the fruit. I did a strawberry. It's my favorite fruit. What is your favorite fruit? Random question, but I'm genuinely curious. I love fruit, but only when it's in season, and then when it's out of season, it is disgusting. And even in a fruit pile of the same batch of fruit, some fruit's really tasty and some is really bad. But I do like strawberries a lot, but comment down below what your favorite fruit is. I'm just curious to know. And then I added in some details and seeds in the little hat, and then it was time to move on to the next fruit I also really love, which is oranges. I did this cute little orange slice, and this one's really detailed. This is probably the most detailed one that I did, and it turned out to be so fun. It looks like a real little orange slice. Not really, that's giving me a little too much credit, but it looks almost like a real orange slice, and it was really fun to put in the level of detail in this one and mix it up a little and do something brighter and more vibrant with this orange color. Added in a lot of details to it. Have you tried working with clay before? Comment down below if you've actually used any sort of like clay or air dry clay before. I feel like it's really common and popular now, which is really cool because it's so fun when people want to do art and add that into their lives. I think it's so fun, and I think it adds a lot of value to the things we do. But now it's time for Jigglypuff. This is for my husband. I knew he would love to see a little Pokemon, especially go next to the Pokeball. So I decided to do a little Jigglypuff because she's pink and sticks along with the magnets that I already made. At first, I made her looking kind of scary. Like, I'm not gonna lie, she turned out really scary looking, kind of creepy, cartoony. I added too many black outlines and it looked more like a Furby than like a Pokemon. So I did some editing and I got her to look like this instead, which is much better. I think she turned out way better when I fixed her up and erased some of those scary lines. And then it was time to do this flower. This one honestly is another one of my least favorites. I think the flower was a cutesy idea, but I don't love the type of flower that I did. I should have just made it pink, but I was trying to branch out and not just continue doing the same thing, but I should know myself better than that. It's pink or nothing, and I messed up on that end. And then it was time to do my absolute most favorites. I made some pet magnets. So these are going to be really simplified versions of my cats. I have two cats, Cheerio and Frosty, and they are my whole little babies, and I love them so much. So I decided I had to put them on my fridge as little magnets too, because wouldn't that be adorable to have your animals as magnets on your fridge? I made them super simple, just added in pink noses and then little dots for eyes. Just wanted to make sure they stayed cute and didn't get scary, and cats can kind of get scary looking like aliens if you make them look not cutesy enough. So I just kept it really simple for this one, and here's how they turned out. I think they look so good. I left the paint to dry overnight. I wanted to make sure that nothing was going to mess up before I started touching them and putting the magnets on and adding in the finishing touches. But here they are the next day, and now it's time to add in the varnish. This is gloss varnish, and this is going to make such a difference. This makes them looking like I painted them yesterday to looking like they were glazed in like their real authentic clay art pieces, because it adds a gloss over top and just makes them look super shiny and almost glass-like, so it makes them look super legit. I've also seen people use resin for this step, but that's not what I have, so I just used what I know. And then after I did a layer of it, then I decided to wait another day just to let that cure and dry before I started messing with the magnets, because I knew the magnets could get a little dangerous if like these magnets that I'm going to be working with are super strong magnets. So I just wanted to make sure that the paint was dry and that the varnish was cured to protect the pieces as best as I could. And then it was time to start gluing on the magnets, which, like I said, were a little bit tricky to work with at times. The magnets that I have are very strong, so be aware if you buy the ones that I have. They just like to stick together and cause a little bit of trouble. So it happened a couple of times where they just wanted to stick together or repel apart, and it was a little bit tricky to work with them. Just make sure you have a lot of space. I did break one of my little clay things, so be careful also while you're putting the magnets on the backs not to press against the clay, especially if it's unlevel or uneven, because then it will break your clay. I was able to glue it. You can't even tell that it broke, thankfully. But just to let you know, this is what the varnish does and how it looks. It makes them super glossy and shiny. It makes them look like glass. It makes them look so finished and so pretty. But here are all of the magnets completed. I think that they turned out so good, and I love the themes and variety that I did. I could have made so many more. I had so many more ideas of things that would have made cute magnets, but I'm so excited to see if you guys create this project too and what magnets you make. If you do make this project, tag me on Instagram at AnchoredArtDesigns. I would love to see what you guys create, because these turned out to be so much fun, and I can see such cute magnet designs coming from creative minds out there. Also, let me know in the comments which one of these magnets turned out to be your favorite. There are so many different ones. I would be curious to know which ones you think turned out the best. I love the orange, the matcha, the egg, the bow, the cats. I love a lot of them. I think they turned out so cute, and they're just all so different, but they all go together so well. I love seeing a collective style in the art that I make, and I think that these turned out to be very cutesy, and you can tell they were all made by one person. But now it's time to actually stick them onto the fridge, which was so satisfying to see them come to life in their ultimate form of being on the refrigerator. Here are some of my favorites. I love the cherry, the matcha. Of course, I had to put the little boot in there. It's just a little cutesy. And then the egg, which turned out to be one of my weird favorites. But let me know which one turned out to be your favorite in the comments. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm going to show you how to make a trinket dish next. So be sure to follow along and like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! I also had to show you the magnets repelling, because even though I know that's just how magnets work, I'm still easily amused, so I thought you might be too.